welcome back to another pen talk. Thank you very much for exploring the wide world of pens with me. And yes, there are 3 pens rotating on a turntable held up by crabs, and I do think these pens are crab worthy. My other pen friends are looking on and saying, interesting pens. And yes, this is a continuation of my pens I didn't need to buy, but I couldn't resist because they were so inexpensive on Timo. Here's the listings. Yes, they are Jinhaos. To me, number 1, the combination of plastic bits and the wood barrel, the black trim. I'm just impressed with the aesthetics and the materials used. And they have an ink window. I mean, yeah. The only thing that I would say that detracts from their appeal to me is they have that triangular section and that small Lamy-style nib. I mean, I have a number of Lamy-style nibs that I could probably swap in there. Whether I'll do it or not, I don't know. We'll find out. But let's dive in. You'll notice there's some little different wood aspects to these. I would have bought 4, but the 4th one was sold out. Yeah, it's the way it goes. But we're going to let the turntable come around, the crab give you a winky wink, and let's look closely at these pens. I think all 3 of these have an interesting color combination. You know, the wood looks nice. It feels good in the hand. The caps are just all the same except for different colors. Black trim, which I really like. So let's just take one and explore it more. The cap comes off in a little over 1 1/4 turns, and you'll see, to me, the downside to this design. I'm not a fan of this triangular grip section. I like to move my fingers around when I write. It's just a typical winged nib there. I think all of these are extra fines. Now, you can get a fine in a lot of the postings. So as we expect, we unscrew the barrel and we'll see a converter. And you can see how that clear section part gives you an ability of almost seeing the ink. I don't think it's going to be too obvious, but we'll see how it looks when we ink up one of these pens. As usual, I've flushed everything and got it ready to find a suitable ink. So Jinhao added a nice little silicone rubber O-ring there, so when you tighten down the barrel, it tightens against that, makes it nice and secure, feels good. I'm impressed in such a low-end pen. A nice detail. So the pens came in these cellophane sleeves, and as you can see, they're really nicely identified with the model and the color and the nib size. That was good. You know, here's what they look like when you peruse your selling platform, and you can easily see all the colors that they come in. I found there's even more variety on AliExpress, so you really need to check all the different selling platforms. I didn't find it on eBay or Etsy, or Amazon, but you never know where it may show up. So the design that Jinhao has used in the 58, here's the 199, which I reviewed a little bit ago. Put a link in the video description in case you want to see more on that. But it has a similar style cap, but also the barrel is also that same faceted design. Some of them in T1 in brass. It came also in aluminum. And again, that faceted cap. And of course, a Caveco Perchio, which also had a fluted barrel. I considered this like a school pen, just like I considered the Jinhao 199, and I think the 58 also could do that, but I think the design of the 58 really stands out amongst these pens. I like the wood. I like the plastic, I like the black trim. But this is a classic design that a number of different pen makers have used over the course of time. And you may have asked, what have I done with this pen, the 199? Well, it's a pull-off cap. And we'll notice I have a 1.1 millimeter stub. Yes, I like my stub nibs. I decided to ink up the green one. And I chose this ink. I haven't used it for a while. It took me a while to find the bottle in my many bins of ink. I think they did a beautiful job with the bottle. One of the nicer ink bottles. Works well, nice big opening. And they are branded. Nice job, Pen BBS. But they have seasons of inks. Every year or so they come out with another group. And they have different bottles in a lot of them. Here's what it looks like on a paper towel. Yes, it is a dark green. Pretty pure dark green. But what really matters is how it looks in the nib and pen. Let me ask, how well does the ink window work? Well, can you tell which pen has been inked up? It's the one on the bottom here. And yes, that is darker in that section, an ink window. I think we need to bring in the LED to really make it show off. You can see the LED goes through there. Doesn't go through the pen that has ink in it. So it does work. Better than no window at all. Well, this is an extra fine nib. I mean, extra fine. It feels good on the paper, and as you heard, there's not a lot of feedback, which is good on a nib that is this fine. It lays down a consistent batch of ink. This Pen BBS ink seems to work well in the pen. It's not a wet writer, but then it's a really fine nib, so it's not going to put down a lot of ink. I'm going to look at other nibs to put in here, because this is not a nib that I enjoy writing with. I don't need a line that fine, but if you do, these extra fine nibs do work well. So in swapping nibs and pens of this type of design, I find it easier just to pull the whole nib and feed out. Yes, the Jinhao one is the extra fine one. I'm going to replace it with this Lambda 2 medium. I think you can see the difference in the tipping material. There's also variations in that width of the area that you slide the nib onto. I had to work on the Lambda 2 nib to spread these wings a little bit so it would fit well. And you want it to slide all the way down on the feed. And you can see how the feed comes close to the end of the nib, which is what I like. So we'll see how this nib works in the Jinhao. I now have the medium nib in this Jinhao Green 58, and I think you can see that the line it lays down is about twice as wide. So it's gotten to be the nib that I enjoy in this pen. You can see it's a little bit wetter, which is what you would expect with a wider nib. But it's just good. Sorry, reverse writing is not something for this nib. You can see how the color is also a darker green than with the extra fine nib that didn't lay down as much ink. Yes, change the nib, change the pen. You could keep the ink the same. Yes, I have a lot of Lamy style nibs. This is a 1.5. I would have preferred a 1.1, but I think it would make for an interesting writer. And I'm going to put it in the orange one because I have an orange ink that I'm going to use. As I mentioned, getting the nib off of the feed can be a challenge. These pliers that have nylon ends to them is really good for pulling nibs. Works well, doesn't damage the nib, and it worked for these. The other thing to keep in mind is, like I said, this is a triangular shaped grip here, and if you look at it, this is the top, so the feed goes in just one way, so it lines up when you write. Slides right in, and that's how it works. Yes, I put in the 1.5 millimeter stub into the orange 58, and it does put down a nice broad line, much wetter, lighter than the other nibs are. I think I'm going to enjoy it. Just wanted to show you how that nib writes. It's not the best nib. The flow is a little bit inconsistent, but I'll work on it, and maybe a little bit of tine flossing will help. So here we are near the conclusion of this review. I'm just amazed, happy with the quality of my pens recently. Have not cost me much money, which also is a good thing. The value is definitely there. And as we can see, swapping nibs also allows you to change the character of the pen. I just love these color combinations. I wish I could have got a blue one too, but it wasn't available when I bought these three. And they all write well. They feel good in the hand. They're knock-around pens. They got an interesting ink window. It's a lot going for these low-cost, well-made pens. So with that, I hope this video found everyone safe, healthy, and happy, having fun, enjoying your pens, enjoying your life. That's a good thing. I certainly focus on that. So we've reached the end. Thank you all for viewing, and we will say bye-bye.